Hello YouTube, hope you are all doing well. In this video, I am going to show you how you can create an chat application in Node.js and JavaScript. This is going to be a very simple application. We won't go into much details. We will use the net module provided by Node.js. It's a built-in module in Node.js. It makes it very easy to create TCP servers, and we can listen to connections and write to it, and we can create a socket connection between different clients. You need two things installed in the system before you can do this. First one is called netcat, and netcat is available through a package called nmap, which is available in this website nmap.org, and you can download for whatever operating system you are using from here. And second one is called node.js. Node.js is obvious, we need it. I hope most of you have already installed it. If not, you can download from this website. I recommend installing this LTS version. So I will initialize a Node.js project here. You have typed in npm init. Name of the application, you can name anything you want. I will just name it socket chat. These are optional. All others you can leave it just as it is. Now we will create a file which will be the entry point of our application, which is a main file. I will name this index.js. It's up to you what you want to name this. Okay, so what we first need is the net module provided by Node.js. It is the module which allows us to create a TCP server and listen to network events in JavaScript. So if you are unfamiliar with the syntax, net is the module which we want, and this is called object destructuring. We do not want the whole net object. Inside this object there is a method called create server which allows us to create a TCP server. So we only need that method, so we are extracting that method from this net object. Next we will create a server using this method. This is our current server instance. Now this server should listen on some port in our system. Ports are like logical segments in a computer. It allows us to separate out different network applications. Like we can, for example, each network application will run on its own server, so it will not interfere with other things running on the computer. Uh, so we should listen on some server. Uh, for this example, I will use 9001. You can use any free servers in your computer. It doesn't have to be this. Next, I will initialize a variable socket count to keep track of how many clients have connected to our server so far. So initially it is set to 0. We'll leave it at that, and we will create a object called sockets to store every client who have been connected to a server. So we can use their detail to send messages to them or get their messages. Every client is managed by the sockets object. Next, uh, using a server object, we should listen to connection requests from other users. So when each user connects, we should first ask their name. We should ask them to enter their name. When we will store their connection details on this socket object. So this server object has a event called connection. This event triggers whenever a new client connects to our server. So when a new client connects to our server, we should run a method. Inside this function, we can do whatever we want. When a client connects to our server, we have access to the client's information in this socket object. First, we will initialize username to empty. Then This socket has a method called write, which allows us to send a message to the currently connecting client. So whatever we pass to this, if we pass here hello, this message will be sent to the client. So first of all, we need the client's name, right? So we will enter your name. This message will be sent to the client. Then uh, socket dot id equal to sock, socket count plus plus. What we are doing here is we need a way to uniquely identify each socket, right? So each socket must need a ID. So what we are doing is we are setting an ID property to the socket object, and uh, we are using the count of the socket as their ID. So like the first socket will be having ID 1, the second socket will have ID 2, and so on. And we will save these sockets in the socket subject. So inside the socket objects, there will be a key value pair. The key will be the socket's ID and the value will be socket itself. Now we have a way to uniquely identify each socket, and inside the socket subject, we have we have access to every client who have connected to the server. We can access them using this ID. Now we have sent this message, enter your name. Now when the client enters their name, we need a way to get their data, get the name which the client has sent, and then we need to assign that to this username variable. So there is another event provided by the socket object, which is called on data. So whenever a data is provided by the client, we have access to it here. So we will run a function when that happens, and inside this function we have access to the data. This data will be whatever message the client has sent us. So in this case, it should be username. So, but first we have to check if the client has already entered the username. Like we enter the username only one time, right? In the subsequent times, it will be the chat message, not the username. So first we have to check it, if the username is not there. That means the client is trying to send a username now, not a chat message. So if that's the case, we will set username equal data. Then we will set that username to the socket object also. Okay, now what we can do is we can send a message to all other clients. Like a user has been connected. We see, right, when someone joins our WhatsApp groups, we see a message like this number is joined. So we can do the same thing here. So for that, I will create another method here called broadcast message. This will take in two parameters. First parameter is which socket wants to send the message. Like for this example, which socket currently joined. Then second parameter is the message itself. Now what we will do is there is a method in JavaScript called object.entries. This method takes in an object and it returns an array containing nested arrays of key value pairs in that object. So here we have access to, when we call this method, we have access to an array which contains all the key and values of our current clients. So we will loop through them, and here we have access to an array which contains the ID and the socket itself. We will destructure it. This is array destructuring. Uh, then what we want to do is we want to send this message to every client except the current client. Like when I am sending the message, I do not want to get the message to myself, right? I only want to get the message to others. So we have to check. I'll explain what's going on here. Um, we are looping to the socket subject, and we are getting access to each ID and the socket instance from it, and we are checking if the ID of this socket is not equal to the source socket, which is the socket that wants to send message. Only then we are sending this message. This write method is used to send a message to this socket. So we don't want the message to be sent from sender to sender, right? We only want to send it from sender to receivers only. So that's why we are using this check here. So if the socket ID does not match, then we are sending the message. Otherwise we do not. So we can call this method here. The source socket will be this socket which currently connected. Um, and the message will be a new socket connected, and we can also add the username if you want. Instead of a new socket, we can just say the username. So you guys should have a doubt why are you using two string here. Username must be string, right? Now it is in JavaScript. When in not only JavaScript, in every network operations, when we pass in data like here, it is not in the format of string, it is in the format of binary. So it is in the format of a buffer object. Buffer is an object in JavaScript which is used to represent binary data. So we must convert that buffer into a string format before we can use it in JavaScript. So that's why we are calling this toString method here. Then yeah, we are calling this trim method to remove any trailing white spaces at the end. So that's it. We have broadcasted here. Now we can just run and see how this is working or not. Before that, we need to install a module called NodeMon. I hope most of you know NodeMon. It is a utility that continuously monitors the changes happening in an application and restart the server so that we do not need to restart the server again and again ourselves. So first we'll install NodeMon, and inside packet JSON just verify that it is there. Then we will create a start script. So each time our code changes, the server is automatically restarted by this NodeMon, and I will run the server. Oh, sorry, my bad, not that. Npm start. We can see server is started here. Just to verify it, we can run a function here. You can see server running here. That means our server is successfully running now. Also, there is a typo here. This should be source socket and not socket chat. So please correct it. And then inside this connection event, when a new client connects to our server, we will just log a client connected just for verifying and see it in action. Now I will start the server by running npm start. Server is running. Now we need a way to connect to this server. So what we can do is, at the start of the video I asked you to install an application called netcat, right? So it comes pre-installed with the nmap application which we downloaded. So I can just run ncat. It is a command used to run netcat. Then we will specify localhost. Localhost means our current computer. uh, then we will specify the port. The port is the port which we have specified here, 9001. So we will specify the same here, and done. Now we can see enter your name message here. Also here server we get a message called a client connected. I will say what's going on here. So the server is waiting for a client to connect to it. So when we run this command, uh, we are trying to establish a connection to the server. So this function is run that time, and we print out the message a client connected. Also, after that, we are sending a message to that client called enter your name using this write method. So that's why we are getting that message here. So just think of it like a end-to-end connection. We can write to it, read to it. We can do whatever we want between both the client and server. So here we should enter our name. I'll enter my name. Now we can see nothing is happening here because currently there is only one user, which is Kishore. There is no other users. So this message user connected won't be sent to anyone, because there is only one client and we do not want to send that message to ourselves. So for that I will create a new terminal here. You can think of this like a completely new session. This is like a different user or a different device. I will run this command again. This time I will provide another name. Now you can see Akash connected message here, but we are not seeing this message here because we are Akash, right? So we don't want to see that message to ourselves. But for every other client, this message will be displayed Akash connected. But currently we don't have a way to send messages. We can just connect to a server, but we cannot do anything other than that. So for that we should uh, find a way to send messages. So we can do it inside this data itself. So this data can be anything that is sent by our client. So first we are checking if the username is not there. If the username is not there, the data is considered as username and we are setting it to the username variable. So if this is happening first time, it is a username. But if it is not, that means it is actually a chat message and not the username. So what we can do is we can just console log for now. So whenever this person sends a message, we can see it is logged out here. But this is in the format of buffer. I already told about buffers. Buffer is a way to display textual data in binary format, which is useful during network operations. So actually see this in text format, we should do toString method, which converts this buffer to a string. And now if I connect again and send hello, we can see hello being printed in the server. So now whatever message is sent by the client, the server has access to it. But uh, the server doesn't need it, right? All other clients around the world need it. So we need a way to send this message from server to all other clients. It should be exactly same as this broadcast message, except the message will be changed. Otherwise it is same as this. So what we'll do is call this method from who we are sending this message. Like this socket means the sender. So we will pass socket as first argument. Then the actual message should be passed, which is data.toString. Now what happens is the server sends this message, which the client sent to all other clients except the sender itself. Now let's see again. Kishore is connected here. In this time Akash. Then if I type in hi here, you can see hi we are getting in this side also. I can ask something, so we are getting this here. But the main point is this message shouldn't be sent to ourselves, only to other clients. So this is actually working right now. So this is all we need to set up a basic chat. But what happens if a client disconnects? Let's say if Kishore has some network problem and he disconnects, we can see the server crashes here because we are not handling any disconnection here. We need a way to properly handle when a user disconnects from our server. So for that, there is another event which is called socket.onError. So whenever an error happens in this application, this function is run. So here we have access to the error object. We can see which type of error happened. So first we can check if error.code equal to econ reset. This is a special type of error. When this error happens, it means that the user has been disconnected because of some network issue. uh, we can just console log user disconnected. Then when a user disconnects, we want to delete them from this socket subject because he is no longer there. So what we'll do is delete sockets of socket.id. Delete is a keyword in JavaScript which is used to delete a key from an object. So whatever the key ID of this socket is, we will delete that ID from this socket subject just for cleaning up. Then we can again broadcast a message. We can say whenever someone leaves the WhatsApp group, we can see a message, right? This person left. So that's what is happening here. We can send a message to every other clients that this person has been disconnected. That's what we are doing here. So if the user has been disconnected, we can do this. Else, if it is some other errors, we can just print the error to see what's going on. You can just print the error like this. I think that's enough for handling this error. We'll try to run again. Okay, now they are testing which is there. And if I disconnect here, you can see Byron disconnected. Don't mind this indentations and formatting. This is just a command line application. There will be inconsistencies, but we can fix it if you want, like, because we can use methods like trim to remove the trailing white spaces and fix this formatting if you want, but I will not cover it in this video. This is just to get an idea of how a socket application works and a server works, how the communication takes place between the server and the client. That's the main focus of this video. So I think this video covered all of that. I think you guys learned something from it, how the server and client works, how the connection takes place between them, how we can listen for connections and send messages to them, and do error handling and broadcast messages. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon. If you have any suggestions, queries, whatever, you can just leave it in the comments. I will try to answer it as fast as I can. Yeah, see you guys in the next video.